I'm here to discuss private equity with two experts from BDO's Deal Advisory team, Andrew Beagley and Daniel Martin. Welcome to you both. Thanks so much for doing this.
Thanks, Madison, very much.
We've spoken a little bit about private equity, but it has become enormously popular in the past year and probably will continue to be going forward. Tell me about popularity in PE and your thoughts on it for the future.
Yeah, I think, look, at BDO, we're very, very bullish on private equity. I think it's definitely growing. So, a sector in New Zealand that sort of had 5 or 6 players is definitely getting larger and more competitive. You've seen sort of wealth divisions set up their own PE funds. You've seen KiwiSaver funds set up. So Fisher Bunds has just set up their own direct investment team. You had Jarden with their principal investments team for a while. You've got obviously Australian private equity firms coming over here and setting up offices because of the returns that New Zealand PE have been generating. So there's a couple of Australian PEs have come over and set up offices here, and BlackRock setting up an office here as well. So yeah, it's definitely getting bigger, and we're aware of other PE firms trying to establish themselves. So it's a sector we think is going to grow, and that's why we're pretty focused on it.
Daniel, how do you think that could or is even changing the game for deals, especially in the mid-market in this country? Could that increase valuations? It sounds like it's almost definitely going to increase volumes too.
I mean, it's great for the New Zealand mid-market ecosystem, having more players in the market. It provides vendors, sellers with more access to cash, more expertise. There may be some valuation upside there with more money looking to be deployed in the New Zealand market. So overall, it's fantastic. With the IPO market being a little bit muted and quiet, it just gives sellers another access or more access to capital in the market, which is great for everyone.
Andrew, you're expecting a similar thing with how PE is going to impact this market then?
Yeah, I think, if you think about traditional PE and how the sort of growth investors and buyout funds, I think as the PE landscape gets bigger, you're going to have sort of more options for vendors because, not every single asset class or business, in New Zealand is a growth story. So, you've got sort of PE that are sort of looking at returns, so they might buy it for a yield play. So it just provides more options for business owners to transact, which is going to be a good thing.
Are there any sectors or industries that PE prefers in this market?
Anything that's sort of asset light, has got nice, stable contractual cash flows, has got a growth story. Naturally, technology it leads itself to that. I mean, Waterman investing in Fusion 5 is a good example of, and they exited that pretty well. So those type of businesses have got high growth, sort of light, asset light, a good recurring cash flow is going to be attractive to PE.
Yeah, anything with good defensive qualities, so it makes the incumbents hard to get into their market or some sort of unique proposition. PE love that, where they can add more value, take it to Australia, take it overseas.
Can you give me an example of a business like that PE has invested in recently?
For example, Win Forget. So Direct went into Win Forget, which is a great New Zealand business. They see that's very aspirational, the owners understand, so they'll take that and help develop that business further in the US market.
Andrew, why do you think these typically offshore PE funds are moving into New Zealand and becoming more active in this market? What do they like about it?
Returns, really. I think the New Zealand market has got a history of generating some fantastic returns. So PE have got, a great history of generating some good returns. So I once had the story I tell is an Australian PE sort of explains to me why they love New Zealand, the land of duopolies. So, you get certain sectors where you get some, 1 or 2 or 3 large players and it's quite protected and it's hard to compete. And, so they generate fantastic returns. So I think it's return driven. They've seen the returns that some of the assets, other local PE have generated and they want to get in and try and get some of that excellent.
Is there anything about these offshore private equity firms or perhaps their investors, anything about their mindset that may be different? And how could that potentially change the way that they operate the businesses here that they purchase?
I think probably ESG is the main one. So we understand talking to some of the firms that they get a lot of, questions or pressure internally from their LPs to try and understand what they're doing differently around the ESG aspect of the business. So, reducing their carbon footprint. So that's probably something that they have a lens on and try and improve under their ownership.
Daniel, outlook for PE for 2025?
As we've discussed, 24 was a pretty quiet year for private equity. Private equity certainly have a lot of dry powder stored up. They're looking for deals. I think they'll be hungry this year for more activity. So I think there'll be a slight upturn in deal activity for private equity. As long as buyers and sellers can agree on value, I think it'll be a more positive year for PE.
Busy year for you both ahead then. Thanks so much.
Thanks.